Well, welcome everybody to today's call on Beyond the Ordinary show. And today we have, oh my God, a facilitator, presence, alchemist, psychic intuitive medium. I can give Kaley so many different titles and descriptions, and it still wouldn't land into this alchemy that happens in her presence and awareness as she channels just embodied wisdom, but also access to different levels of consciousness that are intimate with ourselves. And the way that she can see that and translate it for us and then put them into a place where this organic unfolding that's happening to us and for us becomes that much more graceful and powerful and really demonstrative of what we're ready to receive and be with and embody as we're moving through these incredible ascensionary times. So again, today we're going to be talking about ancestral alchemy. Um, Kaley's going to dive in. We're going to talk about how to break free from limitations, how to reclaim your power, how to embody your most authentic self, and so much more. So I hope that y'all hang back, really relax, open yourself to receive as we have this beautiful opportunity for this special Monday call on Beyond the Ordinary with Kaley Decker. And Kaley, with that, welcome to today's show.
Hi, John. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me again. I love, love, love your audience and just super excited for a fun conversation.
Hmm. What was the inspiration behind ancestral alchemy and what does it mean to you?
Well, really, it came from all of the one-on-one sessions that I've been doing as I've been working with people. Um, there's been this beautiful combination of our ancestors coming forward and wanting to help us unload all of our burdens, all of our wounding. Um, Onto them. They can take it away and transmute it. And with this beautiful combination of also then coming in and healing our inner child from the family of origin that was kind of created from that ancestral line. And that piece of healing that energetically and going back in time and also then forward in time. And then how do we actually take that healing and then be able to realign and recalibrate our mind, our body to be in alignment with that new spiritual, I guess, up leveling, I would call it. And so I got really curious about how I could offer that to your audience. And so tonight is really about talking about the why, and then the offering is really about the how and working. I've been doing a lot of working around the mind. Kind of clearing and rewiring the prefrontal cortex and working a lot with the reptilian brain. So when we think about the fight or flight response and some of the ways that we are conditioned to react from that ancestral, trauma. But one of the most powerful things that the ancestors have been coming through, which that truly inspired me and was so moving, is that they recognize that not only we've inherited their wounds, but also their wisdom. And so they want us to hand all of the wounding over so that we can access all of the deep wisdom. And that ultimately helps us to embody this transformative power of transcendent love, of ascension energy, of more light that helps us to enjoy our process, grow our souls, and then also heal humanity. And so there's just this beautiful opportunity in front of us to really actually heal
Mm,
in those deep kind of those deeper levels that we were talking about before we jumped on, kind of at the root level. And so they're saying, are you ready to really heal? And it's an opportune time And it was interesting because when I channeled this, so much focus was around the ancestors and the mind and the body and how do we get everything working in harmony with each other? Because it almost feels like because of the trauma and the wounding, the mind is preconditioned and automatically wired in some ways to limitation. And so, how do we unwind that and recalibrate to more abundance, prosperity mindset? And it was interesting because Spirit came in today and said, Kaley, don't forget that the umbrella concept over all of this is just the power of true love and unconditional love and the role that it plays in our capacity to heal ourselves. And so it's really about opening our hearts first, which is the focus of my work, and then being able to usher in that transcendent love, asking our ancestors for help, being willing to pass it over to them. And then we have this beautiful spaciousness that opens up so that we can access our wisdom and our guidance that comes through that beautiful open heart that trusts, that surrenders, that gets curious. And the other piece to this that came in today was the role of what peace plays. And they say peace is yours if you want it. And it's almost like we have to get to that willful choice point. Like, so the peace becomes this beautiful springboard as we bring peace to our bodies. We can usher in more love. And it's just this beautiful kind of symbiotic relationship. And the ancestors are just completely game for helping us with all of it. And so it's been really fun to witness. And I've noticed that mostly it's kind of the grandparents that we can remember and or perhaps just connect with stories that we can click into this ancestral healing, and then we'll kind of go further back into other ancestors that came way before us. So
I really appreciate what you're bringing through, and there's so many different things that I want to get into from what you just shared. Um, but first, I want to get into awareness that I'm having because it builds on th this healing and the potentiality of what's happening as we really amplify what's available to us now. And my awareness, I've been on such a thread of focusing on the presence that and what's coming through in the alchemy that our future self is going to be surprised about its future because of the shifts that we're making in timelines based on our choices now.
absolutely, absolutely. And what a beautiful opportunity to use that as a vision and kind of a goal, and then to also bring yourself into that present moment and to embody and enjoy. And the other piece is that they want us to enjoy the process more. You know,
Mhm.
they're saying right now, that we don't want it to be so painstakingly hard, and so there's so much around what they had to experience and they're not belittling what feels hard right now to us, but we do have this capacity to grant ourselves the possibility of feeling good inside of our body while we're moving through this earth experience that can be very hard.
Mhm.
Um, and so
Uh,
it's just this beautiful feeling of them wanting us to feel better.
That makes so much sense to me. And again, I am feeling like a resuscitation and resurrection of what's possible as we really go into the taproot of some of that discordance and bring it into a different vibrational chord that's more aligned with the energies that are amplified now at this time, with a potential that's awakening in all of us, truly. I want to kind of digress a little bit and then come back. So I'm going to ask you two questions. When you say your guides and of course, I'm familiar with your sessions and the
Yeah.
different of connection, but I love it if you inform the rest of the audience who your guides are, who you connect with people in sessions, and how that facilitates this heart opening and deeper embodiment of the wisdom that's engendered because of it. And then let us know why ancestral alchemy is different now than perhaps other versions that we may be familiar with.
So for me, it really, I've had to become adept at just trusting the names, the signature of the energy that comes through, because each session, the guides that come through, the angels, the ascended masters, the ancestors, all are so different and for that specific person. For tonight, for example, I'm feeling all of this incredible angelic presence, like these tall beings of light. It almost feels like they're saying kind of prophet-like, just these tall, strong beings of light that represent they're saying the apostles, so there's a lot of actually Jeshua comes through a lot of Christ consciousness. And then I've been working a lot lately with Ganesha to help come in and remove obstacles, the goddess Kali. So a lot of strong energies are coming in lately to be able to really help people clear the stuff that binds them. So there's these strong, kind of powerful, transformative, these energies are not afraid of the darkness. And so what they want to help us with is when we offer that part of us up, that they'll come in and they'll say, we're not afraid of that shadow self. And we want to help you so that you can see the light more. And what I love about what's happening lately is it feels more practical. Like
Right.
I remember, a couple years ago, and it still feels, of course, transcendent and the angelics just take you way up into this beautiful high vibrational frequency that just feels incredible. And also with the ancestral energy, what I love about that feels different is that they're coming in and kind of balancing out that really high octave of angelic presence and energy and helping us bring it all into our body because we can connect with our this concept of our ancestors. It's like they've walked this earth before. I kind of know what my dad looks like and what my grandfather looks like. I can only imagine what my line looked like. It feels a little bit more tangible, something that we can connect with. And then that allows us to feel a little bit safer to believe
Hmm.
in the possibility of actually relinquishing everything that ails us. Because what I've found is a lot of us are holding on and kind of constricting because we're afraid of what's going to happen still, right? So we're still in that the world feels somewhat like a troubling place right now in a lot of ways. And so the practice right now is even though that exists and the earth experience is here, the ancestors saying, please just don't move through it the way we did. The opportunity to live from love instead of fear, which can feel somewhat cliche, but that's really what they're asking us to do.
Hmm.
Because love, the heart space, the heart as the portal to the soul, our eternal nature, is this beautiful master healer. And I think that there's just the potency of, and also the people that are willing to release to the ancestors and to connect with that belief that it's possible to heal are feeling the power of that inside their bodies. And that's what you want to get to because you want to feel it to believe it.
Right. Yeah, it's really quite profound, this awakening that's taken place and this these waves that we get to catch with just enough of an awareness of it.
Yeah.
Like if we can feel that doorway even closer, have an awareness of it, again, that wave that leads to an emancipation of suffering in so many different ways is it's quite pronounced. Uh, what you're speaking of, I had an experience. I was sitting on the beach the other day. I went down and sat for a meditation early in the morning, which I hadn't
Mhm.
done for quite a few months. And I was in a place of silence and I was feeling just elevated, but there was like a little like thread of nervousness, anxiety, a fast-moving energy in my system. And and the consciousness that came in is like, wait, there's a slight focus on what might go wrong, or preparing for something to go wrong, or maintaining a stable field so that something won't wobble, into, wow, how excellent is everything right now? How wonderful is the opportunity for tomorrow? And shifting it from a place of a preoccupation with a negative energy, even if it was slight, into an awareness of how blessed this moment
Yes.
is. And when I switched that, my nervous system just went into a completely different gear that felt so peaceful.
Oh my goodness. And that is a perfect example of what we are all moving through if we choose it right now. It's we've done, so many of us have done so much work and so much healing. And so now it's this actually kind of walking the talk a bit, where we've learned these concepts and of course we've done healing and we're starting to embody it, but now it's sinking in deeper and deeper. And then that's allowing us to make a choice to actually rewire our
Mm,
thoughts. Our thoughts create our reality. Our thoughts come from our mind. And so in that moment, you had the power to choose and the awareness. And so that subtle awareness, as we notice ourselves kind of wanting to maybe creep towards that old way of thinking or being, or a tendency to, and the human brain has evolved to kind of want to be negative. I see it in my young children. I'm like, how is this happening? But as I see it happening, it's just part of the human psyche and the development. And so what we are being asked to do now is to tap into the power of love
mm,
and being able to rewrite our thoughts in the moment, and also giving ourselves grace in saying, wow, there you go again. That's you, that's that old talk track. And not beating yourself up about it, but just like what you did, you say, wow, okay, no, I've got this other pathway here, and that feels way more expansive. And it seems, again, so simple. But so often we're on autopilot, or we're in this kind of, this reptilian response. And I think that there's just this beautiful, this is the way we really love ourselves. To show ourselves that we love ourselves is by granting ourselves, and I keep on saying this word, but it's kind of the theme, I guess, is just we're at this opportunistic time to rewrite and rewire and rebirth.
mm,
And we are at this beautiful time of rebirth. And when I say that, it's like the angels are up here, and I just invite everybody to just take a breath in and see, it's noticing where your heart feels guarded, and noticing where it feels like it's been able to open and soften. And it's doing that without it casting any judgment or any expectation. And
mm,
there was this powerful kind of piece that came through in my group healing session yesterday around almost being expectationless. Now, it doesn't mean that you don't have standards. So, this is coming from the assumption, right, that we are strong in ourselves, we are rooted in our value system, and we know our truth, okay, and what we're kind of here to be through our beingness. Um, but that when we're able to surrender expectation, we can then more easily allow the flow and abundance of life to meet us, flow through us, and work kind of in collaboration with us. And so it's just this beautiful kind of dance with life that we start invoking by inviting that in. And then also, meanwhile, right, we're doing the work of recalibrating our system with the help of our ancestors or spirit. But it feels so much more tangible now because we can feel those choice points.
It's so strong, the feeling of the choice points and the awareness of the effect of each choice point along the journey, and dropping into really an aspect of choice out of self-love, and the ripples of that self-love onto the collective, where we serve one another because of the awareness that we have. So the way that I see it before, ancestral healing, and the way that we've done it in lots of different ways, we were going through the layers of what we were capable to receive and understand and embody along the way. And there's this oceanic depth that we have access to because of the work that we've done before, the ascensionary energies that have picked up, and the support that we're receiving because the veil has been thinning as we vibrate in accordance with what's available from those realms.
Yeah.
And something different, and again, more profound and permanent, is taking form.
And permanent. And I think what's been happening in the sessions is really getting to the root of the issue. And then meeting that with a beautiful open heart that's ready to live. Almost the phrase like ready to ride. Like let's do this energy that becomes so contagious. And so it's just this it's a fun time to be alive in that sense because we came here to do this, and now it's like the time is now that and the opportunity is here, and it can reside literally within this vessel.
Right. So let me ask you this, because again, so many of us have gone through different healing journeys and awarenesses, and healing the ancestral line, going into mother father wounds. It's again the ripples into the past. Y'all are not unfamiliar with it, most of y'all, which is wonderful. And in the past, perhaps we've glimpsed some of the attainment of the wisdom and the realignment of the threads. But how is it that you're seeing that we're capable of embodying more and holding, again, the stability of what we have access to right now and that healing?
I mean, it to me, what it's done and what they are consistently saying is the mind has a tendency to want to understand it, attach story to it, have that vision that comes through in a session to help us understand ourselves and our identity. And what Spirit's asking us to do is to actually just say, let us do a broad sweep here, let it all go, detach from the story, the labels, how it's going to help you understand who you are, and just let yourself be free. It's like a liberation. It's a freeing of the shackles of the human condition, the plight of the human condition, removing suffering from our vocabulary, and then being able to step into our truth, not through the eyes of a guide or our ancestors. And they're not saying anything is wrong with that. But I think what's been happening is that a lot of us on our healing journey, that keeps us focused on the external, that which is outside of us. So even ancestors who are in another realm right now are still outside of us. And what my work and my guides have always really held me um, close to this is to say, you have to meet yourself without all of that information. And then once you're there, firmly planted inside, knowing your truth, connected to your eternal nature, your eternal source, your it's just your essence, then you can go on this journey of discovering. And so what I found and understanding the stories and the past lives, it's a reframe. It's kind of a pivot, I feel like, but that allows us to finally see our power as co-creators with, what I see as God, or some might say the universe or source, or however you want to connect with that higher power, for us to be these beautiful sovereign vehicles of transformation. And so it's a bit of shifting that. And I think the biggest piece is to not stay in that state of seeking outside of ourselves that further perpetuates their saying, the fear that we're not enough, the fear that we don't have the power, the fear that we don't have what it takes. So it's interesting because it's almost like until we really decide decidedly that we're ready to choose to rewrite those kind of limiting beliefs and to choose ourselves through a beautiful open heart, that that's the real liberation.
Mm. I really appreciate that. And it's funny, I want to amplify the word choose because this has been coming up strongly for me as well, but to really claim ourselves,
Yes.
really claim. Choosing can have, for me, it has a context of having a toe out or uncertainty sometimes, and it can wobble. But what happens when we really claim it?
Well, and I think that that's what this work is doing, because when we do that broad healing, the ancestors are coming in, just give us, it's almost the metaphor that they'll bring through a lot of times is like sending out just buckets. So just pour everything in here and let us just take it away. And it can be pretty quick, so just hand everything over to us and let us just clear it. That unlocks that reclamation through that liberation of all that kind of heaviness. And then I feel like the choose language really comes in those human moments where
Right.
we're really, yes. So yesterday I told you a little about this, but I had a very human moment where I cut my finger making breakfast. I'm a mom of three. I was making this epic breakfast, and in one moment, I accidentally was out of sync and I had a cut that I had to go and get 6 stitches. And it's so interesting because I had a choice in each moment of that process of, am I going to go to where kind of more like old victim me, or am I going to go forward in kind of ascendant, transcendent, soulful me that is here for growth and expansion. And it's almost like I keep going here because we can feel that choice here. And it's like, do I want to go this way or that way? Um, and so we really do, I think, once we reclaim ourselves, the seat of our soul, through the seat of our soul, they're saying, we then have to find ways in our human to honor that reclamation.
This is so powerful. I love that you're bringing this on today. It's so resonant. Um,
Good.
I want to get into some Q&A. If you guys want to ask questions, raise your hand. There's questions in the chat box. I'll start promoting some of y'all to panelists. We're going to get into a special offer because it really is quite special. It's an opportunity to work with Kaley one-on-one. There's a whole healing series that's going to happen. Again, we'll get into that in just a minute. Because I wanted to share it, and gosh, I wish everybody would experience this in their own way. Also, and I don't think it has to be this long ceremony in the way that I experienced it, but I was in Sedona a few years ago, and in the ceremony in what's called the Shaman's Cave, and
Mm.
Native American flute playing in the background. And as I was sitting there and just in this state of surrender, of just being in the frequency of this cave that I was in, that's been prayed in for so many years and held in reverence in different ways, there was like a procession of my ancestors lined up
Mm.
for as long as I can see. And rather than them handing me my wounds so that I can heal it for them, they were handing me like their power amulets, what they had accumulated in accordance with their higher self in those particular lifetimes and passing it down of the accumulation so that I could carry it forward and honor the accumulation and the gifts of their becoming rather
Mm.
than lament where they weren't enough. And it was such a shift in my awareness of what was possible.
So powerful.
Yeah. So it's, I
So
mean,
incredibly powerful. And a lot of our ancestors are wanting us to experience our soulfulness, like the gifts that we came here to express
mm,
in ways that they couldn't. And so that's another piece of them wanting us to be able to experience the full expression of our gifts and talents that come from our soul. Um, and our ancestors are eager to help us in that because where they felt like they couldn't go fully there, they want us to be able to.
it's amazing where we're being invited to and we have access to.
We
It's
do.
just, we just have to decide.
We have to decide, and we do, and we ask for it, right? So, and there's amazing ways to do that where it may feel intangible or out of reach, but through meditation or prayer, and they really just want to be invited in. That's the piece that we must to ask for the help because we do have free will, and so they don't want to trample on that, but they're very eager to help us. And it's so cool because it goes back, like I was saying in the beginning, kind of goes back in line and then also forward to future generations. So you're also helping to heal that generational trauma or wounding forward. And then also to your point is unlocking that power. So imagine rising all the future, you know, people in the line up in power and love instead of fear and unworthiness.
Right. It's so wonderful. And I'm going to get to Q&A also. And I also want to bring mention to the technology of prayer and meditation to put us in vibrational accord. So we don't seek because I dropped in meditation that this manifestation is going to be in. We're aware that we're attuning and refining into a space, and it's like just when that right drop of water hits that bud and it blossoms. It's like that's really the environment that we're creating by establishing a consistent field, and choosing to align with the possibility that it's presenting for us during that time. So there's I love the way that you teach and the different tools that you take in and that you bring in, and the way that the right appropriate guides just show up for that expansion, uh,
Hmm.
that's being nurtured in the moments and that we've been ready for. Um, which is so exciting. Y'all, we're getting into Kaley's course in a little bit and the one-on-one session, which is an opportunity to drop one-on-one with Kaley as well. But I want to go to Q&A first. There's some great questions in the chat box, and we have Jennifer that has come online. So Jennifer, let's start with you. Welcome to the call.
Good evening. Thank you. Hey,
Hi,
Kaley.
Jennifer.
Um, I'm so confused now.
Talk to me.
And kind of like what someone else said in the chat, like my head has always been that I'm trying to heal them. And even to the point where like my lineage is Irish and I'm going to Ireland in a few months, and I really felt like part of this was to go back to my ancestral lands, and I'm not sure what I'm doing there, but I just feel drawn to be there. And part of me has also wanted to know a little bit more of their stories because I felt like that's part of what the healing was to learn the truth. So now I'm confused.
Mm,
I understand. And I think that as I was kind of tuning into your energy, so I'm feeling a lot of activity kind of in my stomach. Um, and almost there, and then kind of like wanting, a little crouching energy, constricting. And so I want you to just take a breath and help open yourself back up because also you know what feels true to you. And these are not mutually exclusive tracks. So you can be on that track. And then also, so I think in somebody's question, we're healing, we're helping to heal them, and then they're also helping to heal us. So it's this beautiful collaboration and co-creation and being able to help our ancestors heal. And it's mostly just the line, right? So you can kind of see this beautiful light energy. And as you move on your trip, you can connect in with who wants to be there with you to experience this, and how I kind of see you feeling into this concept that may feel a little bit, confusing, but to say what in me can be healed as I learn more about the truth of the history,
Mm.
right?
Okay.
What they're
Perfect.
helping, they don't want to erase history. They don't want to discourage us from researching or learning about the history. They just don't want us to be writhing in the pain of the wounding anymore,
We'll
and
get stuck in it. I get that. Yeah.
needing us to understand the truth before we allow ourselves to release ourselves of the wounding. So we don't want the release to be conditional upon us needing to know more with our mind.
Hmm.
Does that make sense? So it is a little bit different, but it's not one without the other, or one or the other. It's this and that. And they are here really to help us. I work in the framework of energy, so kind of looking at the energy of a timeline and being able to remove any of the wounding to create more flow. And that serves you as well. That heals you because you're standing here in the timeline and that's all back there. And then there's all this forward timeline. And so it's liberating through you, and it's granting you a freer experience while it's also helping to kind of free up the energetic traps, they're saying, of that wounding, if that makes sense. Does that help clarify?
It does. Yeah. Yeah.
And I would just say, in the beginning, you said with the mind, and what we're also being asked to do is to really stop, to drop from the head into the heart and to feel into what feels true to us. And so I'm so glad you asked to clarify the message that I am not discouraging anybody from going and exploring the lands of our ancestors, or where you're called to go to explore sacred sites to unlock, the truth of history, or even the gifts and codes that are within you from past lives.
Mhm.
Um, so I hope that that helps, but I would just say take a breath and open your heart and just get curious about that and ask how the ancestors want to collaborate with you when you go on this trip.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Does
it's
that
beautiful.
help?
Perfect.
That
Very
feels a
much
little
so.
bit more expansive rather than confusing. So and this is for everybody, dropping in this, it's a little different, but we just drop in, and they just really want to help us be able to feel lighter so that we can actually enjoy that trip without the heaviness. And then we get curious. It's almost like a detective cap on, and you're going in and you're an archaeologist, or a detective, or, and so it's shifting the vibrational frequency in which we're meeting each moment.
Mhm.
So it's a pivot.
I love
And
Yeah,
so,
that. Perfect.
yeah.
this is great, Jennifer. I really appreciate that you brought this on. And Kaley, you and I were speaking about this before we went live, and we're going to hang out with you just a little bit longer, Jennifer, because I want to get into some points here that I think are really relevant. Um, there's an aspect that is switching within us that's part of, it's what our dear friend Karen's calls that slave program, right? Where we think that we have to do all the work, that if we don't do the work, that the shift can't happen, that we won't be met, that if if we don't do the heavy lifting, that what we feel needs to be released will never be released. And as you have stated so many times on today's call so eloquently, and just to synthesize that, our ancestors are asking us to hand it to them. And so the journey into the lands, and I love doing sacred travel, and
Mm,
there's aspects of soul recovery that come to me as I connect with those lands in different ways that bring back parts of myself that maybe I have lost along the way that weren't even maybe my ancestors, they were me. And
mm,
that action taking ability that comes back from a place of understanding, compassion, and coming to a culmination point between the trauma and the wisdom so that the wisdom can evolve into the higher aspect and the trauma can be metabolized
mm,
into a new experience because you get to carry it forward in a whole different way through what you're embodying now. So it's profound work. But again, when I travel to sacred sites like that, I kind of let go of expectations of what I'm supposed to do or what to receive. My job is to listen and to show up. And the synchronicities that show up through books or through podcasts or through a picture of an ancestor or through Mary Magdalene or the Knights Templar or an Egyptian deity showing up, they just show up because I allow myself to get out of the way so that that creative, inspirational, divine nudge
mm.
can really guide me forward in a new way. So I think it's beautiful that you're listening and following through. And just that the synchronicity of that listening and the gift of that. Wow, if you can be in the miracle of that nudge and allow it to keep informing you, the magic that can unfold can provide such beautiful attunement into what's possible, into what you're creating now. Yeah, so a lot of alchemy taking place. I know it's a lot of information, but come back and listen to the replay because it's pieces of invitation and again, handing it all back to your ancestors and to your guides. We don't have to figure out what to do with it, Kaley. But what happens when we hand it over? Where does it go?
They transmute it
There you go.
into beautiful, I mean, every time I do a healing, it gets transmuted back into beautiful healing light that comes back onto us and then activates more possibility within us. And so, as John was speaking so beautifully about that process, Jennifer, the vision that I saw was the opportunity here is that when we allow ourselves to release the burden energy that the ancestors are kind of helping us with right now, you're able to walk forward into that experience with more of an open vessel to receive the light codes, to receive the activations, to receive the truth, to revel in it. You know, it's like your vessel is this beautiful barometer of the truth of your ancestors and that you can feel their vibrations and you can be more open to hearing their wisdom and their truth and to be able to then alchemize that into your own expression of that. So I see you, the opportunity here is yes, the mind plays such an important role in processing everything you're experiencing. But first and foremost, to go there with this beautiful open heart, this body that feels lighter and more at peace because the ancestors want us to feel that way, because we deserve it. It's the way we're meant to be here, divinely human. And then to be able to traverse the earth with this more open vessel that's primed to receive more light.
Mm.
I
And
am so excited. This has been really, really helpful. I already feel like I've released a lot
yeah, I
mentally.
just see you kind of, oh, it comes all out of the belly, all that fear. So then you're like, all right, ancestors, what do we want to heal here? I'm ready to feel amazing and to do a great job of being a beautiful vessel of our line and lineage and to leave a legacy in whatever capacity my soul is calling me to do. I see you writing. So there's just, and I'm playing this out because I feel like going through that full arc for everyone is important, right? Like it's this full body like release, and then we come back into this beautiful life force activation and connection to our divinity. And we're able to then express our soulfulness.
Mm.
And that's the magic.
How fun,
It's
right?
fun, and that's the
Smiling,
other
Jennifer, you should be
piece.
smiling. It's so good.
They don't want it to be hard work anymore. They want us to have fun and play with them.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Jennifer,
Thank you,
blessings on your
Jennifer.
journey. Yeah,
Thank you. I'm so excited.
I
epic,
Love
epic.
can't
you. Thank
wait.
you.
Thanks
Have
for coming
fun.
on. Hey, I want to go into the special offer now, y'all. And Z, we're going to get to your call. You had your hand raised, and I'm going to get to you in a little bit after the special offer, so hang on. Um, but y'all, the workshop, the one-on-one session with Kaley, it's just what's coming through. It's click on the link that's in the chat box. Click on the special offer button if you're watching this on the BTO page. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, the replay, the link is in the comments section, but you can always find the special offers on beyondtheordinaryshow.com/marketplace. Always, always, always finding there. Okay, I want you to go through the special offer. And I'm curious, as you were tuning in to Jennifer, or even the conversation between us, did you have a sense of what guides were coming up for Jennifer or for this container that the three of us were holding?
I honestly, the thing that I kept coming back to is the heart and
Mm,
and unconditional love and trust. And so it's interesting because even that made me see the heart as a guide.
right. I love that.
Like our heart is our highest guide, and it's right here. And I think that that then becomes this beautiful experience of learning that we in this vessel encapsulate the highest order of guide. It's just so beautiful. I mean, it kept coming back. Now that's not without, of course, so many different, when we're talking about traveling and the ancestors, I think that, you know, the father line was kind of coming up a lot for Jennifer specifically. I feel like there's the higher self and kind of what that partnership looks like. So calling on the higher self as a guide to be able to co-create an experience. So just kind of cool. A lot of what we've been doing in sessions is calling our posse together and like, all right, before you go on an adventure, all right, who wants to be here? And you just play with, all right, who am I traveling with here? I want my higher self, my guardian angel. I want my ancestors. For Jennifer, I'm feeling the father line really coming up. And then also the heart.
Well, I think this is such a great point. And before we go into a special offer, I'm curious about what your recommendation would be about setting the field about what energies we're inviting in to travel
Yes.
through different spaces.
So I think the biggest thing here is, all right, we kind of take a deep breath, right? Because all of that talk gets us, this energy feels so big and there's so many options. And oh my goodness, I'm feeling so much energy right now. Just when we think about the excitement around what if we can feel completely at peace and healed and to live life like the adventure it's meant to be lived in. And also with that, how do I energetically invoke and also protect? So invoke the energies that I want to collaborate with, but not without first being super grounded into the earth and also really connected with an open heart through beautiful stillness and knowing who we are. And so being able to then protect that. So for me, I would close my eyes and maybe we could all do that together for a moment.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I'm feeling a lot of energy right now. So I want to first, I'm going to answer this question, but I first want to kind of focus on just this big swath of, as I'm talking about the heart, even those of us that have done a lot of healing, from kind of the depths, the roots, things surfacing up, and we can kind of maybe feel a little bit of energy up on our hearts. So like, where are we feeling a little like we're wanting to constrict or guarded or questioning. And so I just want everybody, I wanted to invite you to close your eyes. I'm feeling the beautiful seraphim angels coming in. And the seraphim angels are just, I see beautiful flutes, the seraphim angels, and then I see these sweet cherub angels kind of holding space for them, kind of representing our inner children. And I want you to just imagine that they're just playing beautiful love notes that help you to, I'm almost seeing like just removing the veil a bit, removing this kind of, for some of us, I'm almost seeing like parchment paper. What we want to do is we want to not have parchment paper kind of trapping our connection with ourself, with spirit. So I'm just seeing this kind of beautiful seraphim healing just dissolving this kind of parchment paper feeling that keeps us feeling separate and disconnected and reliant on our minds so much. And just breathing out, allowing yourself to breathe out anything and everything that's been holding you back from being able to see the truth of who you are, being able to see the true you through eyes of love, being able to see the true you through eyes of love without any self-doubt, without any self-deprecation. So we're just really on each out breath releasing anything and everything that's no longer serving us. And just breathing in this beautiful healing and remembering our light. Remembering the power of our light. Our light be restoreth to thine truth, to thyself be true forever and ever. And so it is. And so there's just this beautiful offering of healing some of that separation so that, John, we can then move into really protecting that peace that we start feeling as we're more connected to our truth through an open, unguarded heart. And being able to then say, okay, my rules here are I only want benevolent beings that have my highest good in mind. I only want the benevolent beings of the highest vibrational energy to be coming through to support me in my path. You can think about some rules that connect with some of what feels important to you. So early on, when I started working with, I was handed a beautiful ceremony by Isis, the goddess Isis. But I was a little bit weary because I hadn't worked with her before. And one of my rules was I don't want to bring anything through that's going to negatively impact myself or my children's experience. And so we can really feel into what are those kind of guardrails or however we want to approach that. If they're filters, like a filtration system, if they're I don't want to use the word conditions, but for everybody, we might just have those standards, that you and I have talked about before. So maybe think about those 3 rules, right? That you want to be able to protect your energy. And then the second piece to that is say, okay, I'm going on this amazing adventure and I want to invoke the highest vibrational ancestors that are wanting to come through to assist me on this beautiful adventure
Mm.
of discovering the truth of our lineage and also unlocking my power so that I can do what they did and also bring it forward through liberated human.
Right.
And so I would say that we kind of get into that space where we're breathing, we're grounding and centering, we're opening our heart. And then we're kind of, okay, these are my ground rules, and then who do I want to invoke? Does that help answer
That
that,
helps
John? Does that
tremendously. I think it's really imperative that we set a vibrational field of who we're allowing in and have awareness of our authority to invite in all kinds of energies. And I would say they're all of the light in their own different ways, but if you can swim in crystalline waters, then rather than in the sewage, you're going to choose the crystalline waters and keep making the choice of aligning with that standard because it's going to provide the support that you're really ready to receive without having to go regurgitate either your past or somebody else's past that may want to hitchhike with you because you're doing work that would benefit them. Um, and
right?
so that choices and the clarity and the discernment and authority of that, I think, is extremely important in the work that we're doing now. So I love your answer on that and the invitation into, again, the choosing for that alignment in the highest vibrational state and light. Something for you to carry forward, Jennifer, in your trip as well. All right, y'all, we're gonna get to more Q&A. Kaley, working with you one-on-one, the class also, let's go through the special offer. Y'all, this is fantastic to be able to work with Kaley in this way.
Great. So one of the things I've been really loving is offering a group healing experience. So they've been extremely powerful, and just the people coming through from your audience. It's just incredible the transformations that are happening for people. And one of the pieces that I really wanted to do here was to allow people space to work through this ancestral clearing. So it's a 3-session group healing experience. While I am offering one round where it's live and you can join live, everything will be recorded. And so that transmission will be just as powerful and potent. And what as I was tuning into the energy, what we want to do, the first part of this is to reclaim your divine power. And it's really answering the call to rise. So awakening, invoking those ancestors in a safe space. So a little bit of what we just talked about, it's being held in kind of my angelic energy, kind of my wings holding space for this group, and then being able to help people clear whatever wounding, but then also moving through actually being able to activate the wisdom as well. Okay, so this first session is all about this opening invocation to honor our ancestral guides. And so, really being able to honor ourselves and also them and opening up this collaboration. We'll move through what I call healing tours. Thanks to the help of our great friend Karen again. So just really being able to move people through these beautiful kind of metaphorical journeys that help me to help them release the things that they no longer need to hold on to. And then we'll also in that activate our blueprint, and we're going to be working with our inner light. So in that first session, we're not just going to be sitting through the release, we're going to be releasing, and then we're going to be activating.
Beautiful.
And
Ooh.
this is really to help prime our vessel in order to then in session 2 release more. Okay, so here's where we're going a little bit deeper. We're breaking cycles, we're healing ancestral wounds, and we're getting more into that freedom, that liberation, and really being able to start accessing deeper levels of peace that usher in. Peace is kind of the springboard of love. And so being able to start feeling our bodies feeling lighter. And I'm going to be utilizing a framework of breath work, energetic transmissions, and then also light language that wants to come through to be able to facilitate this healing. And then being able to figure out where are those pieces where we want to rewrite our story from a place of love and our true inner light, our power that they're helping us to unlock within.
And that's only session 2. We got another session in session 3.
Yep. And then session 3 is all really about taking that, amplifying that to the next level, aligning with our highest self, really being able to honor the releases and then embody our light. So this is really about then moving also through the mind and our thoughts. And so part of all of this is how do we, once we release, how do we also kind of reconfigure energetically the way that our mind works? So again, it's not listed here, but we'll probably be doing some work with like that reptilian brain, and being able to clear some of that old fear that gets us stuck into fight or flight, fight or freeze, fight or fawn, and being able to recalibrate our whole mind, body, spirit connection to be able to connect with this ascendant path that we're on. When I first got the message, it was almost like ascend to your next destination. And the feeling behind that is not, it's like, okay, we're ready to reach that next ascendant level that we've been working towards. And so this will help facilitate that.
Amazing. And this is package A, y'all. It's $147. Their live classes are recorded if you miss it. So you have the replays afterwards. So you can come back and listen to the replays as well. That's amazing. And then with package B,
Yep.
you get
So
healing session.
you get that group healing experience plus a healing session with me. And that's where we can go, deeper into your unique soul's needs and being able to, dissolve karmic imprints, being able to reconnect you into your, not only your heart and your soul, but also your life force, and being able to truly connect at the mind, body, spirit level so that you are able to embody this transformation.
It's amazing. Y'all, this is an amazing offer. I hope y'all take advantage of it. My sessions with Kaley they were such a huge help for me last year. I was going through so many different transitions, relational transitions, location transitions, project transitions, and the guidance that came in and the healing steps that one amplified the other, that brought in so much empowerment and self-awareness and sovereign choice. It's her work with me has been extremely beneficial and transformative, and I highly recommend the opportunity to drop into this container with Kaley, either in the group container or the group container on the one-on-one. And I am confident that you'll know more about yourself than when you began the journey with her, in an empowered way. So it's quite beautiful. The link for the special offer, again, it's in the chat box. If you're watching this on BTO Live, there's a special offer button on the YouTube page. Look in the comments section or go to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/marketplace, and you'll be able to find Kaley's special offer there as well. And as we wrap up the special offer for now, y'all, I want to continue some more Q&A and see what awareness wants to come through from us musing together in this way. So with that, Z, welcome to the call. If you can please unmute your microphone.
Hi there.
Hi
there.
Z.
Hi. You can stop me if what I'm saying feels off topic, but for me and for people who live within the 340,000 acres of a wildfire that began 3 years ago and took 6 months to end, and in the process, unhoused, devastated, completely through our lives, and there are thousands of us in northern New Mexico, just blew everything we had been working towards, in some families' case for centuries, in my case for 20 years. My dream just fell into
Mm.
smoke, literally, of living in this gorgeous place that I live. And I thought I was okay until, like 3 months after it was all over, and then I couldn't wake up. I couldn't function. I could hardly eat. I'm usually pretty good at transformation. I'm usually pretty clear about how to move forward. And I believe the uniting of my heart, soul being, and real life world. And I have a great deal of joy in my world, but I feel so stuck. And I know it's not just me, it's thousands of people who have been affected by this. The fire was the size of an entire northeastern state.
Oh.
And I don't really know how to release whatever it is that has me so tired and
Mm.
sleepy. I'm
Yeah.
living real life in dreams, and I don't know if this is appropriate to bring up. I really would love some help.
Beautiful.
It is beautiful. And
Thank you.
I first just want to honor, the tragedy that you've had to witness and experience firsthand, and how heartbreaking that is, and how hard it is for our human to experience something like that. And when I was tuning in to you as you were speaking, the image that I keep getting is almost like these cinder blocks just building on top of your neck, you know? And I feel as though it's just one of those moments where I feel as though there's a lot of old energy, and what they're wanting you to do is kind of break free from that pounding down feeling of all these cinder blocks, kind of wanting you to stay focused on that and to move up like this. Let yourself have a moment of reprieve. Because I think when we go through something like that, it's very hard to allow ourselves to truly take a break from what they're saying is the suffering agenda. And you have to choose to allow yourself a little bit of spaciousness between that suffering agenda and your body, and then going deeper into your heart and accessing that transcendent nature that wants to offer up the nectar of life in small doses. Okay, so this is not, it's, I see this as a process. But this is really about that duality of the earth plane and some of the tragedy that strikes, and then how that helps to unearth the light within, to be able to then, it's almost like it's like a big wave coming in and overpowering that cinder block feeling on your neck. And then being able to rise up with higher perspective to be able to kind of fly over the land and to be able to see through that kind of divine eye, that higher perspective. It's and I feel as though you have the power to do that. And so I think for you, it's just reminding you that you do have the power. Now, it doesn't take away of the devastation, okay? So you're around as maybe an empath, as an intuitive, kind of always around these kind of suffering, the devastations, but you have to allow yourself permission to take a break from that
Mm.
And to so even I know this pales in comparison to what you've been through, but I'm gonna bring up my hand that's kind of writhing in pain right now, throbbing, and how do I still in the midst of extreme pain, how do we grant ourselves the possibility of accessing peace, transcendence, to help carry us through the hard parts? And I see you kind of lifting up. I'm almost getting like Moana vibes, like when she calls on the ocean. So a lot of water energy for you. And so I'm seeing just this, seeing you kind of like conjuring up this beautiful wave and you rising above your land and offering these gifts of joy from your heart.
It's funny that you see the wave, because coming home after the evacuation, a wave of water encircled my car and I almost drowned. And I thought
Wow.
I was
I'm
dying.
getting chills. That's that cinder block feeling. So I can't breathe. So, but
Well,
you're,
I've almost drowned many times in my life, and I find it beautiful because I let go and I'm not afraid to die.
yeah.
But in terms of, I live on a high mountain because I'm so afraid of water. I used to have nightmares about tsunamis. But it's interesting that you say that, because when you're talking about a wave of water, what I'm really seeing is a wave of crystalline light with multiple rainbow colors in it, not so much physical water as a shower of grace.
Well,
Is
and
that
what I want
Chills all
to,
over.
yeah, and what I want to point out to Z, and I want Kaley to add to this as we move forward as well. I'd highly recommend a session with Kaley for you to go deeper into this. But what's becoming illuminated, and Kaley, thank you so much, because I was feeling very strongly that the focus inward into self rather than the focus outward was really a profound call that's coming through. And even the acknowledgement of that, as you speak about the reframe around water and the crystalline, look how you're bringing that crystalline energy back to yourself. As you feed yourself and resuscitating from the drowning, your capacity to hold the field in a bigger perspective becomes stronger, not because you're trying to. That crystalline energy just is. It just is. And from that, the healing that's possible, but also the ancestral accumulation of the gifts that you possess get amplified through that sovereign authority of choice of let me focus on myself so that I can become the strength and the pillar that I wish to be for others. It's so strong what's coming in. And again, I highly recommend a session with Kaley and going into this experience, because I do feel a lot of ancestral kind of pull with this as well. But Kaley, how would you wrap this up for Z as we're kind of buttoning up in a way to really leave her empowered after today's call?
Yeah, I think, see, a couple things are coming up, and I actually want you to watch the movie Moana. The
Mm.
guides are kind of saying I think that that would be somewhat healing because there's some ancestral tones in that. I think too, healing the relationship with water. I think that there's an opportunity there. And so what I invite you to do tonight before you go to sleep is to envision you kind of riding this beautiful crystalline light wave, but you're at the top of it, and you're open, and you're and then I see this energy coming out from your sacral chakra, which shows me what do you create from that empowerment as you allow yourself to ride the waves of life and to heal your relationship with the drowning, the potential drownings, and I do feel like I'm picking up on some past life stuff here. But I feel you're so connected And I think that this is an opportunity for you to really explore what this crystalline light wave is wanting you to do for good.
Mm,
So, what wants to be expressed through you? So, that's coming from this beautiful kind of safe root chakra energy, but mostly from this sacral chakra where that's that birth center. You know, what wants to be birthed through you from this beautiful kind of reframe and transformation.
wow.
And I think you have an opportunity here I'm almost feeling like a maternal line that served the land and the people of the land. And even when turmoil struck, that they would bring gifts of healing, even if that was just a full-bodied hug.
Mm,
Or so I encourage you to explore. I feel like you have a sense of this already. So follow the light trail, they're saying. Don't follow the tidal wave or the tsunami or the trail of tears, don't follow the light trail towards possibility, towards the light. You're wanting to just reorient your whole kind of body to the light, to your light,
mm,
to the light that is. And that's really what we're all being asked to do, by the way, through this work. And then what wants to be birthed through us, that keeps coming through our all-knowing, ever powerful soul.
mm.
And
The
they're
blessing.
saying this
Thank
ain't
you
your
so
first
much.
rodeo.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I didn't know what to expect, and this was superb in its
Wow.
seed, and it's beginning to grow.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Blessings, blessings, blessings to you, Z. Thanks for coming on and sharing.
Thank you, Z.
Thank you, John, and thank you, Kaley.
You're welcome.
Mm,
All the
So,
love.
so a couple of questions for you, Kaley, and I want to stretch into this, but I do want to bring up the awareness that many of us are being stretched beyond our normal comfort levels. We are being taken to new depths
Yeah.
of what we have access to. And sometimes in the confusion, it's like, wait, I'm used to swimming in the 5 foot kind of wading area, and this is really comfortable, but we're being dropped into, the 20-foot pond and learning that we can still navigate it, but we're discovering new capacities about ourselves in the process. So there is a stretching of our depth. And as we raise in frequency and vibration and light tone, um, and that capacity expands, your ability to hold that with compassion and opening thresholds for others to cross through becomes available because you've navigated the different layers that are necessary to free ourselves from the perceived sovereignty so that we can really flow into an awakened sovereignty that's very embodied and empowered. So it's profound work that's happening. And I'd be curious, is like, how am I being stretched into a new depth, and how can I bring in my power, my wisdom, my ancestral accumulation of wisdom and gifts so that I can bring something new forward that hasn't been brought forward before, and how wonderful it is to do so. Y'all, the special offer for Kaley, again, the 3-part series, the group experience, the one-on-one session for an hour. It's on the special offer. Y'all take advantage of it. With the ancestral work and ancestral lineage. So we talk about ancestral lineage as it relates to our DNA bloodline and in human form. But tell us about your perception about also our relationship and the inheritance of our ancestry from spirit realm, from the angelics, from galactic places that we're also embodying during this time of such an energetic activation.
Oh, yeah. Which that stuff gets super fun.
Yeah.
So I think it's really interesting because maybe 2 months ago, there were a lot of galactics coming into my work, and then they're holding space, but they really wanted, it was almost like it was the ancestors' time to shine, just for what people were needing specifically for this kind of time that we've been in the last couple of months. And I find that as we allow ourselves to, what's really interesting, okay? So a lot of us have awoken. We've done healing. Now we're being asked to really truly recalibrate our body. And then what happens is we have more capacity inside of our body to be able to connect with those other realms, the Pleiadians, the Arcturians, the Syrians, whoever that is that comes through, you have more capacity and you're also more grounded in yourself to be able to explore those spaces and places. And what I've found really fun is, so I do a lot of work during the day, obviously with healing sessions, and then at nighttime, I invite those realms to show me through my dreams or through, in my, as I'm falling asleep, what they want to teach me, what they want to heal within me. And they've been a lot more hands-on with the activation of our light and our power. So remembering that we're in this world, but we're not of this world. And that we have all of these potential other experiences. I worked with mermaid energy and merman energy, um, and what I find fascinating about all of it is that their imprint feels different than the ancestors. They're helping us to remember, like we healed some galactic war stuff with a client, and so there was some experiential stuff where this soul had experienced some galactic warfare. And so, being able to kind of heal that, to be able to help them release and to step into their power. But the intention behind that healing is different than what the ancestors have been coming in with, if that makes sense. It's a little bit more abstract, and it's a little bit more like reclaiming our superpowers outside of being human.
And I also feel, again, the alignment with a higher vibrational statement where we're walking alongside those guides that we have so accustomed to praying towards to
Right.
help us. And I'm finding that we're being blessed as we acknowledge that we're walking side by side rather than in a hierarchy, as we
Yes.
reclaim and have relationship with these parts of ourselves that are so ripe to awaken within us. So it's just fascinating work, y'all. And again, the time is now. Again, it's amplified. The field is popping with this potentiality. And what are we choosing? How are we going to choose? And I know y'all are choosing for your higher self, and we're all going through our journeys, but it's amazing the guides in both the esoteric spiritual form, but the guides like Kaley that are showing up that are really embodying and demonstrating how we go home to ourselves and reclaiming ourselves and coming back to wholeness
Mm.
as best as we're capable of here and what's possible when we embark in that journey and touch the roots and bring them forward and again allow them to ascend with the rest of us. Um, this is powerful work, Kaley. I'm so glad that you brought in this topic, that you're taking the special offer there, and I can feel the aliveness of the history that our future self is going to thank us for, because we're doing this now rather than later.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's been actually fascinating to witness that. And as you were talking, what they were kind of the guys were kind of showing me was that the the other realms, right? They're helping us a lot with the upper chakras to be able to connect to that higher vibrational energy, and the ancestors are helping us with the lower chakras, so being able to free ourselves in that human suffering so that we can feel safer, we can feel more grounded, and then it's our heart as a guide that helps to wire it all together. And there, of course, I mean, it's not so compartmentalized, but it was interesting as you were talking about that they were showing me their focus and their intention is somewhat different in these times that we're in, as we're being asked to embody our divinely human selves more deeply, more expansively inside of us.
Mm, mm. Powerful work, Kaley. Thank you so much for everything that
Thank
you
you for
shared.
having me, John. I love being here.
It's so amazing to have you. And again, the work that you bring for our community to deepen into is just, it's beautiful, loving, just empowering work. So thank you for what you do and the way that you do it and how you generously share it. I'm truly grateful. Um,
It's my joy and purpose, and I love your audience too. It's been so much fun. So I can't wait to work with you all, and let's dive in and let's feel better.
let's
It's
dive
just
in,
the time
y'all.
is now.
And everybody on the call listening to the replay, thank you for your time, your attention, your heart, your openness. Um, and just know that as you rise, we all rise together. So thank you for the work that you do. Sending you a huge hug, bowing to each and every one of you, and namaste. And I
John,
look forward to
thank you
seeing you
for
on
the
our next
space that
call.
you provide.
It's it's an honor, pleasure, and so much fun. So keep playing in it. All right, y'all. Have a fantastic evening. I'll see y'all soon. Bye, everybody.